Cedric shifted his gaze away from the sky to focus on the face leaning so close to his own, an inexplicable flutter rising in his chest. Alain's red hair had come loose of its confining ribbon and was hanging freely to either side of his face, brushing gently against his chin. "Alain," Cedric said, feeling suddenly confused. Then all capacity for speech left him when Alain leaned down and kissed him. For a long moment, his world was consumed with the feather-like brush of lips against his own, the moist heat of someone else's breath against his cheek, the sleek warmth of the body pressed up against his side. It was kind of nice, actually. He blinked rapidly when Alain pulled away. "Okay," Alain said, looking worried. His hand had settled on Cedric's side, warm even through the layers of clothes he was wearing. Cedric had to think about that for a moment. "Yeah," he said at last. Alain smiled, another one of those rare, honest smiles that looked so very good on him. "I'm glad." It occurred to Cedric then, rather belatedly, that Alain probably hadn't been joking when he said he thought he was pretty when Cedric first arrived here, which brought some rather uncomfortable thoughts to mind. "Is this why you asked me to be your new companion?" he asked, honestly curious. Alain's eyes hardened, and he pulled away abruptly, rising to sit cross-legged on the blanket at Cedric's side. "No, of course not. You don't have to—" He broke off with a frustrated sigh and ran his hands back through his hair. "This isn't a part of the deal, Cedric. You don't have to let me kiss you or anything. I just thought—" "No, it's okay." Cedric reached out and grabbed his hand again, holding it tightly when it tried to skitter away. He propped himself up on one elbow so he could better meet Alain's eyes. "I said it was okay, didn't I? I was just wondering." Alain looked unconvinced. "I did think you were pretty when I saw you that winter, so I asked around about you, and I found out you'd been homeschooled, which meant you couldn't be a complete moron. You sounded interesting." Cedric supposed he should feel flattered. "So when Nat had his accident, you thought of me?" Alain nodded, looking pained at the mention of his previous companion's death. "It was either that or be saddled with whomever my father chose for me. Probably a simpering, arrogant dolt from some high lord's family with his own fucking death monk following him around." It was the first time Cedric had ever heard him swear. "Hey, it's all right," he said, lacing his fingers through Alain's. "Really, you just kind of surprised me. I never really thought—" One of Alain's eyebrows rose quizzically. "Thought what? That you were attractive enough for someone to want to kiss? Or is it the fact that I'm a boy?" "Well, yes." That summed it up nicely, actually. He dropped his gaze, his face heating. "I mean, I never knew that boys could feel, well, affection for each other." Alain's tone was teasing. He settled back down onto his side on the blanket and smoothed his thumb over the side of Cedric's hand. Very carefully, he leaned in and brushed his lips over Cedric's forehead. "You really are pretty, you know." "If you say so," Cedric mumbled, feeling decidedly uncomfortable. Although, to be perfectly honest, he liked feeling the warmth of Alain's body stretched out in front of him, and he really liked the way Alain's lips were tracing their way down the side of his face.